and you shall receive. Thanks to Pete Mundo at Heartland College Sports for making this graphic because we stole it from him. Over under win totals in the Big 12. You see Texas at 9.5, Oklahoma. Is that 8.5 there?
That's 9.5.
That's 9.5, man.
Sorry.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Pass the Dutchie to the left one time. Whoever put that.
Yeah. So hold on, I got my old man eyes here. I got to pull up the larger one on my screen here. But yeah, I don't. 9.5 for Oklahoma. I'm not buying that. 8.5 for Kansas State. Fine. 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5. I'll buy it all the way down the line where you've got it. I think Houston at 4.5 is maybe a little low.
Well, let's start off with Texas. 9.5. I mean, I could see that, but that Alabama game will be a real test early on. Beyond that, though, I do think they'll be favored in just about every single game they play. So, and I do feel like for the first time in a while, it's not just a bunch of fluff that there is with Quinn Ewers being back as your starting quarterback and all the offensive weapons, including the transfers that you brought in. I do think Bijan's a loss. Like, I don't think that they just pick up where he left off and Cedric Baxter and Jonathan Brooks are like just
generational.
Right, but I don't think that just losing him that it wrecks your season. Like you can't replace him in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I think 9.5 is very fair. I'm not. What would I go here? I think I'd go over, but I don't know if I trust them enough just yet. But as we get closer to the season, maybe I will. I'm not buying Oklahoma at 9.5. I think they'll win less than that. I mean, I don't think they're not going to make a bowl game or anything crazy like that. But I just don't have the faith at the moment to feel like they're going to approach 10 games. But they'll have more talent than everybody but Texas. They should be expected to win a lot of those games. But I don't. My faith's a little shaken after last year and all the changes. K-State at 8.5. That's very interesting.
I'll buy it. I mean, I like quarterback coming back. I like what they've done in the portal. I don't think that sets them up for 9-3. I think that's a.
And again, we're not looking at the schedules as we do this because that definitely would come into play too. But we just don't have the time to go one by one through every schedule. Tech won 8 last year, so I think I'd go over with them this year. I think that they're going to be right there near the top, and they're going to be all business. Baylor, I'd go under 7.5. I'm more of a 7 wins for them type of a guy. So that one, to me, I'd actually go under. TCU at 7.5. Ooh, that's interesting, too. I don't know what at all to expect from them because, you think they just reload.
Players just went to the NFL.
I think I might go under there.
That's not Georgia.
And they also had, really, though, if anybody has a great season, in some cases it's just Georgia's just so much better than everybody else. But they had so many doses of luck last year when you think about TCU's season and how, the Baylor win. My gosh, that was 1 second away from being a loss. 1 second. The Oklahoma game, there's a lot of little instances last year that could have gone the other way for them. And that's, Baylor 2 years ago when they had their magical season, a lot of people pointed out, when they had the follow-up of expecting a downtrend was they lost a bunch of guys to the NFL and they won a bunch of close games. And sure enough, you turn around and they didn't win the close games most of the time, and they didn't have the talented NFL guys. So, yeah, I think I might go. But shoot, man, what they do is they got so many. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd have to sit there and really stew on TCU.
Yeah, and look, they have.
I think I'd go over, though.
Yeah, I might go over. But the other thing that kind of works out for TCU that Baylor did not have, Baylor was in the normal times of the schedule. One of the things that worked out for Baylor when they won the Big 12 and won the Sugar Bowl was all of those games, like the big ones, were at home. And then it flipped where all the big ones, except for TCU, were on the road.
TCU
Right.
Colorado in week 1 is going to be really interesting. And then Colorado plays Matt Rule in Nebraska as well. So that Deion tenure is going to be, I know we've mentioned it before, that's going to be fascinating.
I don't know if he makes a bowl in year 1. I honestly don't.
Or he does, and it's like the story of the entire year. And if you were already sick of hearing about him, then guess what? It's only going to grow into a whole nother, monster of attention.
I can't wrap my head around the math right now, but again, we don't know what his roster is going to be.
Yeah, we don't know.
Nor does he.
No, he doesn't have the old picture either.
But yeah,
can you pop that back up? Sorry, Garrett. It's the Big 12. I think we should finish off the second half of that.
Baylor at 7.5. All right. 8 home games. I'll give you that.
They should not not make a bowl game. That's the one way I draw the line. But yeah, they got 8 home games. One of them's Utah, granted, but yeah, there should be some expectations this year. I don't know how I feel exactly about them. So I think I would go under with 7 wins right now for Baylor.
But I'll go. I'm not going to way under, but yeah, I think UCF at 7.5 is probably about right.
It's reasonable. Although, are we going to have like a little bit of a curve for some teams entering the Big 12 for the first time? But with John Rice Plumlee, maybe they don't have as much of an adjustment as some others do.
Yeah. Kansas, get back to a bowl game, maybe improve on it. Yeah.
It feels like that's a low for them, right?
Yeah.
Like almost feels like the juice that they have right now, that they should have like 7 up there or something.
Yeah.
I know it's not far off, but the fact that they're even getting 6.5 type of cred is speaks to the job that Lance Leipold's done. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oklahoma State at 6.5.
Who the heck knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know what they're going to look like. BYU, I would actually give them a little bit more. I know they have a tough schedule and all, but Keaton Slovis is not glorious when he's on his 3rd team, but he's also a little bit more experienced. So I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt on that. But their schedule is hard at Arkansas, at Kansas, at TCU, Tech, Texas, going all the way across the country to Morgantown.
Even playing home games, you still got Oklahoma, still got Texas Tech, you got Cincinnati. So, yeah, I could definitely see them hovering right around that bowl line.
Yeah, so
I think I'd go over, but I could see the argument the other. That's why Vegas has. I mean, clearly Vegas knows right where the sweet spot is, so that's why they have them right at 6, and that seems fitting.
Yeah, and Iowa State there. I think they're about right. I could see them making maybe a big improvement this year, but then again,
well, nothing's going to be expected of them, really.
It's got to be their offense has to score 28 points a game like a normal team can.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of in that quiet corner, sort of working in silence. I could get that vibe from them. And Hunter Deckers makes a jump, and the defense stays great as usual. And they have some good skill talent that develops. Although they're losing Will McDonough, they're losing Xavier Hutchinson, they're losing some pieces. So you don't exactly replace that right away necessarily at a school like an Iowa State or Baylor or any other number of schools. You don't have the Texas, Oklahoma just ability to hit the vending machine button and just another 5-star, 4-star guy pops up. But, I could see them surprising people or just kind of settling into this just sort of median spot where, they've kind of always been. But, obviously disappointing because it really felt like a couple years ago Matt Campbell had something – not like they were going to the national championship or anything crazy, but it felt like, they played for a Big 12 title, and I don't know really, I don't know these last couple, or at least coming off of last season, I don't really know what to expect with them.
Yeah. Houston, I kind of want to give them more of the benefit of the doubt.
Pretty low, yeah.
But, in Cincinnati.
But they lost Alton McCaskill. Not that he was going to win them like 3 extra games, but that was that was a loss.
That was a huge loss, yeah.
I hate that because I really loved watching him play 2 years ago. I think he's got star potential, and it was a shame he got hurt, couldn't play, and be an effective weapon for them last year. And then to have him all the way rehabbed and then to bounce after spring camp is just, that's brutal. That's so brutal.
Yeah.
But I think they can win more than 4.5.
Cincinnati, I'll keep it at 4.5. The Emory Jones is going to be their starting quarterback, and we just know.
Well,
I think what he is.
Yeah, just losing Luke Fickell. That's obviously a huge blow. If Luke Fickell was still the head coach, I'm sure that number would be a couple notches at the very minimum higher. But yeah, there's a lot of question marks right now for Cincy, so that's understandable if they're getting lowballed a little bit.
Yeah, it's
fun to look at. It's fun. I can sit there and look at that and really pour over it for much longer than we already have, which is pretty lengthy. But it's fun because it's starting to kind of feel like we have more of the picture taking shape for next year, is checking off all these little boxes, whether it's a schedule release or whether it's classes settling in or the transfer portal or it's just getting odds on the win expectations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did we skip West Virginia, Gregory Krug? Yes, we did. I think West Virginia has the toughest schedule in the Big 12. Not just in total number of tough teams that they have to play, but how it falls for them.
What were they at?
They were at, I believe, 4.5, right?
Oh, yeah. they were at
4.5.
We super over that.
Yeah, so West Virginia, and again, you've got a coach in turmoil there.
I mean, they open up with a layup at Penn State. So, yeah, that'll be tough on September the 2nd. Pitt in week 3, Tech at home, at TCU, at UCF, at OU, at Bay. At 4.5, is that what they said again?
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know, man. I think I love that they've retooled. They do seem like they've retooled pretty well this offseason. But
did they just lose their best running back too? He just hit the portal last
he did.
week.
Yep.
Right after spring.
Yep, he did. Was
it C.J. Donaldson?
No. It was dadgummit, what's his name? It was the other
number 24.
Back. Another running back we saw all the time. Tony Mathis is who hit the portal. Yeah.
But like my point being in that, Penn State, Pitt, Tech, TCU, with Duquesne in there, I know in the middle, but that's a really hard way to start the season. Mm-hmm. That's a really hard way to start the season before you get to the bye.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Mathis coming off of last year, he'd only played in half their games. It seemed like he played in way more than that. No, he didn't. He played in way more than that. He played basically in every single game. That's a weird website. Anyways, that's going to be a little bit of a loss for them. Obviously, there's the talk about Neil Brown that's going to be kind of hanging around in the background. I don't know how much of an effect that has on the team, really. I don't know, though. I don't know how to feel about them. I don't feel like they're in store for some massive resurgence necessarily. I also don't think that they're a completely hopeless program either. They're kind of like right in that middle territory for me. But I love C.J. Donaldson. I do love that they're going to finally seemingly have maybe a bit more excitement at quarterback after – it's kind of been ho-hum the last couple of years, and they finally
they've been it's dry toast.
Yeah, but
that's what they had, dry toast.
But Mark Yol's exciting.
Garrett
Green. We've seen good things from him in the past, although not nearly enough through the air. But that gives you an exciting combination of guys that could do some damage for you. So. Yeah, I mean, I've seen mixed reactions from West Virginia fans. There seems like there is some wave of optimism, but there also is a little bit of hesitancy, and that's just kind of how I feel. I feel sort of split, but I would love for a West Virginia fan to tell me like what the overall sort of real feeling is of that fan base, whether it's pessimistic or optimistic, to kind of give me a guideline to roll with and kind of know better what the fans out there are thinking, because I see a mixture of both on my timeline most of the time when they're brought up. I don't really know enough to feel like I'd be comfortable saying, oh, no, that's a for sure bowl team. I think 4.5 is probably, given the circumstances, about right. But I would go over on 4.5, to be clear.
Yeah. I'm going to say under. I really am.
You are? Okay.
I do. I think those first few games are going to eat them up. I do. And, I hope they're better for the sake of all of our Morgantown faithful that are watching this show.
We love the West Virginia fans.
Yeah, we love the West Virginia fans. I really do. Hope they're better, but it's just,
it's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule.
It's a tough, they get it to where it kind of bounces out in the middle for a minute, but then you got to go big long road trips that are tough that you've never,
Okay, I could see them. Okay, they beat Duquesne, right?
Yeah.
Pitt, possible. Is Morgantown as formidable as it used to be? I feel like it still can be.
It will be that night against Pitt.
Yeah. Can it sway a couple games, like the Baylor game last year? Do they have a couple of those moments in them? Because they're going to need a couple of those moments to get to a 6-win set. And do they have that in them? I don't know that or feel comfortable enough in predicting that. But, yeah, I can see where there is some pessimism to be found given that schedule. And they avoid Texas, so there's that. But but there's a lot of other problems potentially on that schedule.
Yeah, and look.
So West Virginia fans, please give us the vibes coming out of Morgantown post-spring.
I mean, look, they could have done them a favor and sent Baylor to them where Baylor seemingly can't win.
Yeah, true.
But
automatic
no.
win.
But no, I mean, they, got to go to Norman. That's tough. We'll see. They go to Orlando. We'll see how that works out. But that's that middle stretch where it kind of bounces out for them. But if say you are 1-4 out of the first 5, what's Neil Brown gonna be? What's his status gonna be at that bye week? Like that is
I mean, that's
that
entirely
bye week
possible,
for
yeah.
Neil Brown is gonna be very telling because if they're 1-4 and just beat Duquesne, then you think you know what's gonna happen to Neil Brown because they just got the new athletic director who. When he was on with us, and he's told us, look, he doesn't want to fire coaches, and I believe him. Nobody really wants to, but also he's been brought in to improve things, and you don't saddle yourself to a guy you didn't hire. And so you're 1-4 in the first 5 weeks. That, to me, is where I just don't see it for them. But, look, you could –
I think a lot of this depends, but they get a lot of the new schools. Like if I'm looking for optimism here, they play UCF, they play Cincinnati, they play BYU. Cincy and BYU are at home. Houston on the road. I don't think that's like impossible. UCF on the road. I don't think it's impossible. I mean, they should have a leg up on those schools. You would think, being in the Big 12 the last several years, there should be. You would think some slight advantage, personnel wise or otherwise. So there's,
You think Dana's going to lose to West Virginia?
No, Garrett, I don't. But, I'm trying to be positive here.
I know.
Yeah. No, that one, you're right. That'll be circled and has been squared and rectangled and triangled on his calendar, I'm sure, 1,000 times already. But, yeah, you're right. That's another element to that game that certainly makes it different than just, going to one of the new schools for a little road trip. But, if you can handle those – and maybe knock off a couple, but yeah, we're like Duquesne. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going bowl game, but I'm going above 4.5. So right there at 5, I think is where I'd have West Virginia, which is I believe exactly where they were last year.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that would be great for Neil Brown.
No, it's not.